evening. Welcome to the October 29th, 2018 Newmarket Budget Committee. Let's open the meeting, as always, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Welcome, everybody. First on the agenda, we have the minutes from the September 24th meeting. Do I have a motion on the minutes? Anyone?
I'll make a motion to accept the September 24th, 2018 minutes.
Thank you, Mickey.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Did everybody get shy on this? Did anybody see anything going through the minutes that is at odds with their recollection of what happened? What was said? I did not myself.
Nope, I didn't notice anything.
There's no shortage of substance in it.
No.
Just a lot of numbers. But no, to the best of my recollection, this is what happened.
Yep.
All right. Hearing nothing, all those in favor of accepting the minutes of the September 24th, 2018 meeting, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention?
All right. Thank you.
On to the next item on our agenda, which is to review the budget and finalize our calendar for the budget season. I printed out a calendar that I brought with me, so for anyone who doesn't feel like taking a lot of notes, once I get this filled out, I'll send it out to everybody after the meeting is over. But basically, we need to work backwards from Election Day, which is second Monday in March, I believe, each year.
Tuesday.
Second Tuesday, I'm sorry, which would be the 12th of
12th.
March. So that's going to be town meeting day.
No blizzard this year, right?
Shh.
Don't tempt fate.
You just jinxed us.
Will not forget standing in the high school last year looking
Yeah,
at
enough of that.
that big tree in the corner down near the lower end of the parking lot, just watching it sway
Way back and forth.
That was frightening. All right.
It was better than Zach and I staring at each other, just slowly freezing to death.
Yeah. Will it be at the high school?
Probably not.
No, it'll probably be at the elementary.
Either the elementary or
Or
town
here.
hall, one or the other, I would assume, because there's just no reasonable way they can fit that in the high school with the current state of the parking. All right, so to work backwards from that means the warrant is going to need to be finalized. I'm looking toward Dave because
February 2nd, I think, is when, the warrants will need to be finalized. I think it's the 15th of January.
all right. Warrant's 15th of January.
You know, we
Because
probably
the
put
deliberative
notes-
session's probably going to be the 2nd with the option of the 9th, depending on weather.
Second is Groundhog Day.
I know. That'll be a fitting day.
That's perfect.
Dan, you might want to put a note for the deliberative session to just schedule a after-meeting budget committee if you need it.
Yep, I'm definitely thinking of that. So probably the 9th will be the backup date. So yeah, right off the bat, I would say Tuesday the 5th, we should hold as just an available date in case there are anything comes out of the deliberative session that requires us to revote.
Is that enough time to post?
That is a good point.
What if we posted it early and just had the meeting right after the deliberative session and scheduled it, cancel it if we don't need it?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
All right, so let's February 5th. We'll schedule that meeting, and again, if there's no need for it, we'll cancel it. working backwards from when the warrants have to be finalized, that means that we need to be done with the school hearing by the 14th of January.
Yep.
So I would propose that date for the school budget hearing. The public hearing.
Yep.
We usually do 2 meetings, for each for the town and the school. We do a work session and the actual public hearing. Probably January 7th then would be a good date for the town hearing, unless we wanna try to do them both in one meeting, which, yeah, that's pushing it too much.
Well, I just know there's some big things on the school too for discussion, so,
Good point.
because that's a contract year.
Yeah.
All right. So Monday, New Year's Eve, I'm assuming that would probably not be a good date to try to have a meeting. The Monday before that is Christmas Eve. Probably
I won't be here.
also not
Just
the
saying.
best date to try to have a meeting. So that brings us back to the 17th of December. I would suggest that. I have an email from Meredith today that said that the school budget would be to us by the 14th of December, I believe. Is that when the school board would be voting on the final?
I have my last date is the 3rd of December, so.
3rd of December.
That would, 14th is probably just playing it safe.
Okay. That's, right, but you might, school board might be taken a little extra time with the budget this year, given the superintendent's announced, intention to no longer be with us after this year, so. I mean, does that seem reasonable to everyone if we put a work session on the 17th, or should we allow more time for the schools?
I think that's pushing it, to be honest with you.
All right,
I mean, the 17th, I think if we have it any later than that, that's
Yeah.
really tight.
all right, so let's go to the 10th. Schedule December the 10th, I'm sorry, schedule a working.
I thought we had to have the budget from the school by the 30th or something. Yeah, I thought it was the end of November, because I know the town we have to have by the 15th of November. So that one is fairly,
Right.
that just seems late for the school to,
I'm going to cheat a bit and look at my email.
but I also know they got a lot to go through, so.
We expect to have the budget to you for the first Monday in December, the 3rd.
The 3rd, okay.
So if we take the 10th as the work session for the school budget, that gives
That's good.
everybody a week to
Yeah.
digest
That's
what
good.
we receive.
Yep.
In that case, we can either go December the 3rd for the work session on the town budget, or we move it back to November the 19th and save the 3rd.
The 19th or the 26th.
Right.
26 would be our normal meeting day.
Yeah, it would.
Because the 3rd is Hanukkah, not that, but that's the first night of Hanukkah, so I don't know if that'll come into play with anybody
Let's
or
go to
not.
the 26th then.
Okay.
for Town.
That is the Monday after Thanksgiving, if anybody's traveling for Thanksgiving though.
I'll be out of town.
Pardon?
I'll be out on.
All right. Why don't we scratch that and go to the 19th, because again, our belief is that they'll have the budget to us by the 15th.
Pick the 19th or 26th, whatever's better for you. I'll be out for both.
All right.
I would do I vote for the 26th if possible.
Is it Christmas?
No,
November.
of November. I'm like, I can't talk right now.
Yes.
I would vote for the 26th.
Anyone have strong feelings one way or the other?
Because the kids are back in school and everything, so.
Okay. All right, 26th then, town budget work session.
Less crazy after.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, we'll just say for the sake of argument that December the 3rd is available in the
If we
event
need
that
it.
something, I don't foresee anything really controversial in the town budget this year.
Actually, can I make a proposal?
Absolutely.
What if we do the town on the 26th and we have their hearing on the 17th? So we have that, because I think we have to have their budget wrapped up by the 30th of December.
Then that would be the date to do it.
And then we can hold the 7th as a backup school thing before we have our hearing if we need another day for the school. But yeah, looking through its proposed budget, I don't see anything controversial in the town whatsoever.
We tried hard to be non-surprising.
Yeah.
And you do well at it. All right, so the town budget hearing then is struck from the 7th of January. We have a working session for the school on December the 10th. Maybe we can have the 7th as a backup date for the school work session.
That's actually a good day, because that's only 2 days in December versus the 4 that we've had in years past.
Yep. It's just the teacher contract that's up this year, right?
School bus too, I believe.
The bus is up as, that to me could almost draw more public interest than the teacher contract after the experience we've had in the early part of this year. I mean, hopefully things improve, but, it's been tough sledding so far.
It is a statewide problem.
Yeah, I don't
There's a
think it's
shortage
any,
of drivers.
and that isn't even unique to like the school bus industry
No.
for that matter.
No.
It's anybody who works in transportation is hard pressed to find commercial drivers right now. It's more or less a nationwide
Yeah, I would
issue.
say it's nationwide.
All right, so taking it from the top, here's what I've got written down. First town budget work session will be November 26th, which would also be our regularly scheduled November meeting. December 3rd, although that is the beginning of Hanukkah, we're just holding that as an available date if we need a second work session on the town budget. December 10th, working session on the school budget. We will do the public hearing on the town budget on December 17th. They should be wrapped up at that point. We have January the 7th as a backup date for a second work session on the school budget. We'll do the school's public hearing on January the 14th. Warrants are finalized by the 15th of January. Deliberative session likely date February the 2nd, with a backup date of February the 9th. We're holding February the 5th as a meeting as an available meeting date that will notice in the event that we need to vote on anything that comes out of the deliberative session. Otherwise, we'll just scrap that one. And town meeting day is March the 12th.
You said January 15th, the warrants have to be done.
Yes.
Backing out the calendar, it might be the 17th, but it's that week. It's that Thursday.
Do we need to hold a time just in case there's a late petition warrant? we don't
Petitions
have.
have to be in the week before.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah, I believe.
So then we could tackle that the night
Right.
of the hearing? We would have to hold a meeting separate from the hearing, right? Or is that, we could do the same?
I believe, I mean, petition warrants are really, I don't believe they're any different from the standpoint of
Okay.
holding a hearing on them.
But the town hearing would have been before that.
Oh, you're right, which I think is necessary to get them to meet their deadline. So, yeah, we would have to hold a day if a late petition warrant came into the town.
Doesn't have to be Monday though, because
No.
21st is Martin Luther King
Right.
birthday.
Sorry, just to, if we get a petition warrant at the, deliberative session, we could hold a meeting after the deliberative session as long as it's noticed a week in advance.
Yep, that's what we're holding the 5th for. If we hear from Steve that for some reason he's actually looking at February the 9th, then we'll just move that meeting from the 5th back to the 12th.
What if we did it the day of, this would be something, the day of the deliberative session, just have a meeting on the books after the deliberative session and not have the 5th meeting?
As long as everybody's thinking to be there.
Rather than have to come for another meeting midweek, you would just hang around for
Just regroup afterwards.
Everybody amenable to
I'm okay, yeah, I'm gonna be there as it is.
give it up a little, yeah, I mean, we'll be there anyway,
Yeah.
so, all right.
It just has to be noticed.
So,
Tuesday prior to, let me see.
So if on both the possible dates of the warrant, deliberative session, we want to notice that we'll have a budget committee meetings noticed.
Right,
Whenever we need it.
yeah, well,
Well, there's
since,
time to do the second one in between.
right, I think. I mean, if weather-wise, we should probably know by Friday if we're gonna have to punt Saturday the 2nd, so we can notice a meeting on Friday, and that would be fine.
Okay, so as far as petition, they cannot, all petition warrant articles have to be in by the 15th. Actually, it looks like here, they say the second Tuesday of January, which is the 8th, so they can't have them after that.
What, if somebody gets up, like with the Lamprey bus,
They had to have that petition in before the deliberative session.
they had it in, if anybody revises the dollar amount, then the budget committee has to re-vote
We have to
on that.
re-vote on it, but
Yeah.
for any
Yes.
public hearing, if we have if there's any petition articles, we would have to have a hearing for that in January, but it has to be in by it looks like the 8th, according to this. Knock on wood, we've had one in 10 years, so I'm hoping that.
All right, so I think we've got this pretty well laid out. I'll get it all entered into a reasonably decent format and send it out at some point in the next few days. Thank you to everybody. All right, the next thing we'd had on the agenda was follow-up questions on the fiscal year 17 results, but since we don't have Steve, Meredith, or Lisa present, we'll table that. The last thing on the agenda, I'm hoping everybody, Trevor was good enough to send us the CIP committee's report to the town and to the school board. I know I saw a few people breezing through it here, so again, there's nobody to really ask any questions to, but if anybody saw anything in there, I mean, just for the record, I guess, the kind of high-level things, it looks like the committee adopted most of the recommendations that came from the department heads on the town side. The exceptions being, looks like they actually increased the recommended capital contribution for stormwater management, which if I go to the detail for public works, just seems like that was considered urgent by the committee. Decreased the recommendation for building improvements, and that looks like mostly, if I'm reading this correctly, There were some things that were sort of viewed as lower priority, a generator and transfer switch for town hall, HVAC upgrades at the police station, public works, access control and surveillance, all looks as though they were rated lower priority by the committee. Everything else for facilities kind of went through as proposed. Police went through as proposed. Fire and safety and police went through as proposed. Recreation, the committee gave a relatively lower priority to a shade and rain shelter at the rec center, and a very low priority to an electronic signage board, which I take to be for either the rec center or for one of the fields. Planning board, the master plan update kind of went through as proposed. The enterprise funds went through as proposed. For the schools, it looked like there was a pretty material discrepancy, but I think that actually comes down to things that are going to get paid for out of the bond rather than out of capital reserve funds. One of the odd things, I guess, about CIP is it's presented by the department heads as a list of priorities, a list of things they would like to do, and in the course of the CIP exercise, that kind of gets conflated together with the whole question of how do we fund this. So capital projects can get brought forward by the department heads that really are not going to be funded from capital reserve because there's already money from somewhere else to pay for them. And it's what makes the exercise kind of interesting. It's a combination of a discussion about what should we do as well as a discussion about how should we fund what we should do. So that's, I know in the past has always been something that leads to interesting discussions at our level, because you'll never see anything funded in the town administrator's budget at the levels you'll see in CIP. That doesn't mean that the town administrator doesn't agree with the priorities. It just means that he may see a different way to pay for it than by putting money in a capital reserve fund.
That was my next question, because I hadn't gone into his proposed budget and lined everything up, but it looked like these totals were quite significant compared to what's there.
Right, and that's been the case basically every year that I've been associated with this. CIP always has pretty close to an order of magnitude larger number than what comes through the town budget. So, that'll be, it's subject for the council to talk about. Last year, I know extra money above the administrator's proposed budget went in for the roads. The council may feel strongly again this year about some of the projects that are out there. We won't know until we go through it. All right, and that, anybody have any other questions or comments about the CIP report that Trevor sent out? Trevor was rushing to try to be with us this evening, but he was coming north from Cambridge, which
Good luck.
probably means he's on 95 somewhere, cursing fate.
Just cursing.
Either or. All right. Hearing none. Any other business anybody would like to bring up? Again, hearing none. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I like a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mickey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Zachary. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are unanimous.